I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Woo! Oh, man. What are you all doing here? Well, hello. What are you guys doing here? Me? I'm just always here. Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another amazing episode. It's amazing that we're here. That's what it is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 358th episode of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. And ladies and gentlemen, I am solo tonight. Solo, you can't even see or hear me. No, Kate is not here. Producer Kate is not here. In all fairness, I did tell her last week, hey, we're going to have a light schedule between now and the 1st, and even a couple days after the 1st. So your boy is in, and his kids are in. So that's their grandkids, their first set of grandkids. Take off all the time that you need and want. It's no big deal. I told her that. And then she's like, oh, well, thank you. That's wonderful. You know, thank you, Mr. Scrooge. And I was like, yes, as long as you're here, you know, all this time, because I am a taskmaster. So I told her that, and then I popped on that next night, and I thought, well, I'm gonna be here alone, doing it all alone. And she was here, and I was like, that's the spirit. It's one of those things where I'm like, yes, take off all the time you want. As long as you're here every night, I am. No, those are jokes. So no, well then tonight I kind of thought that, man, she'll be here. We really had no communication today, really. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. And so I just kind of assumed that she would be here. And I logged on and she wasn't. And she's normally in the studio in the Duck before I am. So I logged on and she wasn't here, which wasn't crazy because that's how it was at the start of the last night I was here. And so I thought, all right, she'll pop in when the music's going. And, you know, he's getting going about the steel belted radials, and he's, you know, a human or whatever he is. And he's looking out the window and he's not going to take it. And Kate's just not here. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really going to have to do this alone. So if you've noticed, none of your comments have been posted. None of your comments have been posted. I can go through real quick and just hit all these. Look, there's the Duck talking to us. Live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. click on a comment to show it on screen. And then Les C. Cloud says, good evening, everyone. Had a great Christmas. The resident bot says, guess what? No drones out tonight. LOL. Chris Bunner says, howdy all. Brenda Greider says, good evening, everyone. Jenny Winnie says, good evening. And then Les C. Cloud says, hello, everyone. So we are going to have a show tonight. We are going to talk about a couple odds and ends. First of all, has anybody... So I read today, I've talked to a couple of my friends who have told me that they have battled some very serious stomach illness over the last couple of days, maybe a day or two after Christmas. So like the 26th, 27th into today, they've been dealing with the stomach flu. And then I read today, a really good friend of mine who we've had her on the show before, Ashley Krog. I think she's the one that posted about there's a really bad strain of norovirus that's going around, which is, the pukes and the shits and all of that. And so I do not want that. I do not want that. Not the bird flu. That's my grandpa's looking for the bird flu. No, it's the norovirus, which is what I'm talking about. It's like the stomach virus. It makes you have diarrhea, makes you throw up. And I do not not want that norovirus that is going around. That being said, how many people absolutely feel like every ounce of energy has been zapped from your body? Like, I generally hate... I love the holiday season. I love Christmas. I love New Year's. But I generally hate the period between the two because nothing gets done and it's just like one big, long drag-on day. And it's like nothing's getting done. This time, I have absolutely loved every second of it. I'm like, I about canceled the show tonight, matter of fact. I was just like, I just don't. Mentally, I'm here. Like, mentally, I'm at it. And I'm doing all of this stuff. And I'm writing a bunch of things. And I'm sending out emails. I just don't have the energy or the desire, the want or the drive to make a thumbnail. Like, today's thumbnail is a calendar with some X's through it. I don't have the desire to make a description of the episode. For those of you that read the descriptions and see what those are, I normally go into that. COVID is really bad again down here. That's what Brenda Greider said. And somebody asked me if I had COVID. I hope to God I don't have COVID. I don't have any COVID symptoms. I know that the energy drain is a symptom of COVID, but I don't have anything else. I just really feel I am not a person to wish time away. I do not wish time away. I don't like that. That's a bad practice. But I just want 2025. I just want to wrap 2024 up and say, thank you, God, for all of the blessings. Let's rock and roll into 2025 and see what we've got. Hello there, Alva. Just thinking about you, sir. Welcome. Take a few thousand units of... I know, you know what? That's probably a pretty good idea. I probably do need to take some vitamin D, maybe some vitamin C, and, powder it down and then rail that bad boy. I probably could do that, and I would feel a lot better. So that's going on. The other thing, really quickly, before we get into it, for all of the bingy TV watching people, I normally don't get into that whole craze. I normally don't watch television shows when they're real popular. I always watch television shows, years afterwards. I think The only really shows I watched in their original run has been Seinfeld and kind of The Sopranos. I didn't watch it in the first couple of years. I watched I like in year 3, I like binge watched 1 through 3, and then I watched like 3, 4, and however many more seasons there were. But that's that. Everything else I watch long after they go off. But Squid Game, I watched Squid Game when it first came out. I loved it. I have anxiously been awaiting Squid Game 2, and I did binge watch Squid Game 2, made it through all 7 episodes, and let me tell you, the amount yes, Clinton, I hear you, bro. The Squid Game season 2, episode 7, I was literally, I could have broke the TV. That's one of those things I really could have just shot the TV right there. That's the way you do it. And then I found out, what the little ending, what it says. So I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but if any of you watched Squid Game 1, you need to watch Squid Game 2. If you've never watched Squid Game, you need to watch both of them. I love, so Alva, here's the thing. I love cowboy movies. I love old Westerns. That's something that's just a kind of a staple in my family. That's something that my grandfather and my dad and I don't really know if my uncle got into them much or not. I really can't. I don't know. I don't really think so, but I don't know. My dad and my grandpa can tell you every bit character of every cowboy movie from like 1920 forward. So cowboy movies, Westerns are a big thing for me, for us. But I've watched bits and pieces of Yellowstone. I have not watched it from start to finish. My grandfather wants to watch the spinoff, the 1923. So I think we might try to watch that together or something. But I cannot deal with that, the female character in it. Everybody thinks she's a badass. Everybody thinks like, oh, Beth. She's too over, and I like the actress. The actress is a actress from the United Kingdom. A lot of people don't know that. She has a very, very posh British accent, and she pulls off being Beth, I guess, well. A lot of people didn't know she was not American. But I cannot stand the character. So that's the problem with me with Yellowstone. I love Kevin Costner. But I don't know. I'll have to go through and watch it in its entirety at some point, but I'm not there yet. Joe Black says, it's been raining for days now, and my wife seems very depressed by it. She keeps standing in the window staring. If it continues, I'm going to have to let her in. I love it. That's funny. I was really sympathizing with your story there for a minute, because I was like, yes, that's exactly. I've been depressed by it. I'm not really depressed. It's just that pressure down on you, you know. That's what's going on. But yeah, I need to maybe do some vitamin D and vitamin C, and just I'm going to try to get my hair cut. I'm going to try to get my hair cut tomorrow. Although Monday is not a good day to try to get one's hair cut, because a lot of people don't know this. Most barber shops and beauty shops are closed Sunday, Monday. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, because Friday and Saturday is a big day for them. So they're not closed on the weekend. They're closed Sunday, Monday. So I'm going to have a little bit of an issue. We'll see, but I'm going to try to get my hair cut tomorrow. We do have a very big, okay, let's get into the politics. Let's stop talking nonsense here. I apologize. See, I don't have Kate down in the bottom saying, all right, come on. This intro's been 25 minutes now. Let's roll. Hey, folks, if you could please do us a favor, click the bell, give us a like if you could, to appease the algorithm people that are doing whatever they do with the algorithms. And if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. That would be fantastic. Please and thank you. Also, if you're interested in following us wherever we are, you can follow us on social medias, all that stuff there: YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. If you want to get a hold of me, there's the email and the studio line. I'm going to fix this graphic because I need to add actually 2 more things to it. I was supposed to do that during the break, but I just said, you misspelled AI. Yeah, that's right. So I got to fix this graphic. We'll see what goes on. I don't know. I'm hoping that tomorrow's Delaware County Commissioners meeting fires me up. All right. And we need to get Catherine back on the show. It's been like maybe a full week and a half since we've had Catherine on. When do you go on break, Catherine? I won't ask you that publicly. I mean, you don't go on break. You have no idea what I'm talking about. You're always at all places. I'll talk to you offline about that. Sorry. Yeah, it's not 9 a.m. tomorrow, Clinton. You'll actually be happy. It's at a more suitable 10 a.m. No, don't say that on here, Catherine. Don't tell anybody that. Don't put that shit out on social media. I apologize. All right, well, she's going on break, but I'm going to be stopping around and making sure no one's screwing with her stuff, so don't be messing around. All right, we got it covered. All of us go on break on Friday. We do? I do? Are you talking about me? Bilbrey. I get it. I get it there, Catherine. What's transparency? I'm trying to figure out, are you... yeah, I don't know what I was thinking about. Yeah, you are right there. I'll buy a vowel, Jack. So, okay. I've heard that's a really bad disease you don't want to get, foot and mouth disease. They've asked me that, like when I came back from Europe, if I had touched any chickens or anything like that and had foot and mouth disease or something. I suffer from that frequently. Okay, hey, so here's the deal. There's a couple things that I want to talk about. Oh shit, man. I have no clue. You tell me what you know about it. I let me know. You tell me. I have no idea. I've shared it a couple places. I've posted around, put it out on YouTube. I still need to make that thing with the updated shit. Man, I have not talked to you in a couple days, Catherine. I've just been during this little Christmas break here that I've had, I just kind of went dark. It's been nuts. So but I think that I'm getting I'm getting my second wind, hopefully. So okay, let's see here. I don't know what Catherine's wanting me to look for here. Where? From what date? You share it so many different times, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Which one? I mean, on the one that you just shared today, it's got 21 shares, but I know that there's far more than that. So that doesn't count. The one from Madison County government has a lot more than that. The one from Madison County government has 240 comments and 541 shares, but I know that that's not even anywhere close. We're over I'm pretty sure from everything from that I've seen, counting up all of the different areas, we're into the middle teen thousands, like 13 or 14,000 different engagements on that. So any no correction. Kate will make me a mod, Bilbrey. Hey, I'm down. Whatever. Kate's not here. I'm running this solo tonight. If you guys are just joining us, that's why none of the comments are going up on the screen. I apologize. That's my fault, not our fault together, just my fault solo. It's just a pain in the ass for me to get it. Normally, I'll put up a comment and then I forget a comment, and then what happens is we get some comment like this on Friday stuck up while I'm talking about other things from like Richmond, and people's like, "What's on Friday mean?" I hate when I do that. I didn't know Kate was not going to be. You don't know how to be Kate. What are you talking about? she would have been Kate. Well, you mean they're coming up here in the comment section? Yeah, they're there in the comment section, but what Kate does is generally when we're going through periodically, if there's a comment that makes sense, or she likes to try to hit as many. Sometimes she doesn't get them all, but she'll put them up like this. She'll do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and different things. But no, okay. So here's the thing. Number one, Delaware County Commissioners meeting. I have been telling you guys wrong. The meeting is tomorrow morning. It is not 9 a.m. It is not 9 a.m. The meeting is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Now, I'm telling you guys, I do not have a clue where they've published this meeting information at. I've not found it. Now, this is where I say this. So before I say it and look dumb, let me ask this of Chris Bunner. Chris Bunner, yes, and it is. 10 a.m. is still bullshit. It needs to be 6 p.m. It needs to be 7 p.m. sometime when normal people can get there. You know, the majority of the most normal people, I guess, can get there. Yes, too lazy is 1,000% correct, Jack. There's no question. So I know that drives me so crazy, Stumblefoot. I don't think so on this time. I think that the county building is up a creek on this one. I don't think I don't think that they've published it. Now, Chris Bunner, have you seen or have you heard in the hard copy or the print newspaper about a Delaware County Commissioners meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Monday, December 30th? Have you read about that? Have you seen this? Have you noticed this? Have you found it anywhere? Because normally when I say I've not found this anywhere, including the paper, Chris Bunner normally pops in and says, "Yep, I seen. Here it is," or "I sent that to you the other day." So I just want to verify before I say that you've not seen it somewhere. You've not read that, and it's been like you're like, "Yeah, they had that in the junk section." That's the big bet. So tomorrow, the meeting that the commissioners held on the 16th, if you could look, that would be grand. I would love that. The meeting on the 16th was the last commissioners meeting. That's the meeting where they would have given him an attaboy, told him, thank you for your service, given him a plaque or something like that. And he just chose to not show up. Now, there is a special meeting that is called for tomorrow. In my understanding, it is to discuss one topic and one topic only. And that topic is this ordinance or resolution. I don't know. I think it would have to be an ordinance pertaining to the ARP, American Rescue Plan Fund interest. And this is going to be a showdown. Now, one would think that Shannon had called out to his old pal, and said, like, "All right, Jimmy, I need you for one more ride, buddy. I need you for one more ride. We need to saddle up, and I need you in there for one more fight. You got it in you?" And, I don't know what King would have told him. It's going to be interesting. So my question to you all here, number one, do you think King shows up tomorrow? Do you think he doesn't show up? Here's what I want. I want you to put a 1 in the comments if he is a no-show. Put a 2. Clinton. Put a 2 in the comments if you think he will show up. 1 is a no-show. 2 is he shows. Whoa. So Alva actually thinks he's going to show. Robert says he doesn't. Stumblefoot says no. Joe Black said no. Karen says no. So right now he's writing. Ooh, Clinton says he will show up. So here's the deal. He's right now writing on 2 of the last 6 meetings. He's only attended 2 of the last 6 meetings. And one of those meetings he attended was in October. And one of those meetings that he attended was in the first meeting in December. So he missed 1 meeting in October, 2 meetings in November, and 1 meeting in December. So if he shows up tomorrow, it will be because they plan to go balls to the wall battling the council for this money. Now, the question will be, will Stephen Brand speak from the audience? Will he tell them what he thinks should happen? I think that he should. I think Brand should stand tomorrow and say, this is my thoughts on the matter. Since I will be commissioner in, 40 hours, my 2 cents are X, Y, and Z. I don't believe King has the support to allow him to steal that ARP money. I'll be honest, I think it's quite different. I think it's more a John Brook deal. And he is trying to count on the support of Henry and King. I think it'll be interesting to see. I honestly don't have an. I think he will. I don't know. I think. I guess I should say. I think he should speak. I don't know what he'll do. The only reason I think that he will speak is because he has kind of been doing that throughout he's been attending these meetings for over the last 2 or 3 years. But he has really been kind of interjecting himself into matters in definitely the last 3 months, 4 months maybe, definitely the last month and a half, definitely the last couple of weeks. I do have an email into Brand about what's going on with the sanitary district meeting, but I sent it right before the Christmas holiday, so I actually expect to hear something from him tomorrow. Now, keep in mind, all right, so number one, we will be live streaming that meeting. You can watch that meeting right here. It will be a live on location deal. So it will have the blue screen that'll say Delaware County Commissioners meeting. And, you'll have to look on that, and it'll start at 10 a.m. We will be live streaming that. I will be there. I will be at the meeting. So that'll be a good thing. We'll see what goes on. And then that'll be that. We will be live tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. in the evening to discuss what happens. So that'll be that. So that's the little small information that I have pertaining to what's going on in Delaware County. I really don't have anything else about it. There's no agenda to my understanding or my knowledge at this point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Tweety Bird. Absolutely. That being said, I don't know. They might not. A couple of things. One, they may or may not give public comment tomorrow. They may not give it tomorrow, which then in my mind would mean we, their bosses, would have to take it. So it's like, it's not yours to give or take up there, employees. So that's that. Number one. Joe, I don't leave home without bail money when I go to a meeting. Ever. Ever. So they may or may not have public comment tomorrow. That's one thing. But Stumblefoot. Number two. The only reason I mentioned about him speaking up not pertaining to public comments is generally in various years past, in various meetings, they have given the outgoing or the current office holders have given a little bit of room to the incoming elected officials. For example, an example that I don't think Tweety Bird will be able to disagree with, because even though I didn't like the person and don't really care for the person, when we were in the November, December, end of December, the first meeting, the last meeting of the Muncie City Council meeting in December of 2023, after the election had occurred, and after we were aware who would be leaving the council and who would be coming on, Counselor-elect Nora Powell stood up and asked the council to vote in a manner that was more beneficial to her, since she would be coming on in just 3 weeks, and she asked them not to go forward with the vote on the fire department at that time. And now I absolutely agreed with her statement at that time. That's the one thing that's what sets me apart from a lot of other people. I don't care that just because she's a Democrat, or just because I haven't liked her in the past, or just because I don't like her as a person or as an elected official, I am still aware that she's capable of doing good and having good ideas. And when she does do well, and when she does have good ideas, I will praise her for those, just as I will anyone else, or vice versa. I also don't have a problem tearing apart somebody that I like and support if that need arises. So Nora stood up and spoke, and as the counselor-elect, she had no real place to speak. Her term didn't start until 12 o'clock on the 1st of January. However, on the 4th or 5th of December, when she stood at that meeting, she advised them, you guys are going to be voting on something and putting us in a situation where we are then going to have to deal with the ramifications, and I'm asking you guys to hold off. And that was an absolutely adequate approach, and I applaud her. I applauded her at the time for doing that. And I was glad that the council, at least for whatever part her plea played into their vote, that they did vote in the way that she asked. So do I think it would be insane or crazy or it wouldn't be right for them to ask Brand his thoughts from the audience? I wouldn't have a particular problem with that, knowing that he's going to be going into that seat in just a handful of hours after. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I want to see if the council comes. I want to see if they come heavy. I want to see if the president's there, because last time, the only person that spoke against this, was Matt Kantz. My question is, I think we need to see the council president speak on this. I think Jessica Piper needs to speak and let it be known where she stands. If she can't speak or doesn't speak, I think that has to let us know that she shouldn't be president. She doesn't have the guts to stand up for the council when she needs to, then she certainly shouldn't be in that leadership role. But I would like to see other people on the council come in and fight for what's right in this. It'll also be interesting to see what, if anything, Brad Bookout does. So that'll be interesting. Okay, so the next thing that I want to pull up for you all would be a little situation from got confused here. Oh yeah, right here we are. The other situation that I want to talk about, leaving Delaware County, would be this. I want to make sure that this is right here. Bear with me. Okay. Share this here. I thought about putting this up as a kind of a as a Sproles watch, but it's not really a Sproles watch situation. So it's not like that really. So I want to put this up here. Let's take a look at this.
Delaware County Prosecutor Eric Hoffman tells Fox 59, "I assume I will have a decision after the first of the year about this high-speed crash." On April 18th, a high-speed police pursuit ended with a violent collision. The chase began in neighboring Henry County and continued north into Delaware County and raced through the streets of Muncie.
We're in heavy traffic, excess of 90 miles an hour. They just ran into the red light.
Deputy Tanner Strelecki initiated the pursuit. At the time of the chase, Strelecki was a first-year deputy with no prior law enforcement experience who had not yet been through the state law enforcement academy. The driver of the pursuit vehicle, Zachary Antrim, survived the crash and was arrested. He is still at the Delaware County Jail, awaiting trial in February. A passenger in Antrim's vehicle, 25-year-old Nick Willems, was killed. His father, James, told us he believed Deputy Strelecki was responsible for his son's death for conducting a high-speed chase through city streets.
You think the deputy should be punished?
Yes. Oh, yeah. He took them kids' lives in his hands. He should have knew better.
The other vehicle in the collision was driven by Shantae Schmeezing.
I didn't see nothing coming. I didn't hear anything. And it's knocked me out.
When we visited Schmeezing in May, she was facing a long recovery from fractures to her shoulders, jaw, back, and hips that were stabilized with inserted rods. She was also critical of the police pursuit.
I mean, I have questions why that was going on and why that was happening at such a high speed. And, is there any regards to people, other people on the road?
But Henry County Sheriff John Sproles told us he reviewed the chase and praised Deputy Strelecki's performance, adding blame for the crash belongs solely with Antrim for not pulling over. After reviewing the police reports, which took months to compile, Prosecutor Eric Hoffman will make a decision on whether or not additional charges are appropriate for Antrim. But in a conversation months ago, Hoffman told me among the considerations when he got to this stage is whether or not Strelecki should face charges as well. Steve Brown, Fox 59 News.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my friend Steve Brown from Henry County, reporting from Henry County for Fox 59. Of course, that is the follow-up to the very, very, very tragic situation in which a fleeing from law enforcement, a vehicle with a driver and a passenger was running at speeds in excess of 80, 90 miles an hour through some of Muncie's most heaviest traveled roads during the start of rush hour in Muncie on a spring Friday in Friday, April 18th. And he was being chased by a rookie deputy who was off duty, who was not in his own county. He was not a Delaware County Sheriff's deputy. He was rather a Henry County Sheriff's deputy chasing this guy in Delaware County. And the quote unquote bad guy car smashes into a couple of other vehicles, one of which was an innocent bystander heading home from the hospital. And she was very seriously, critically wounded. She did make a recovery, but has been in months and will probably be in years of recovery. And the passenger in the bad guy vehicle lost his life in that crash. And from reports, the passenger was pleading with the driver to stop and was texting people like, hey, I want out of here. I don't want to be here. I think this guy's going to kill me, yada, yada, yada. So it wasn't like he appeared to be someone who was egging him on, saying, go, go, go. We can outrun him. He was like saying, hey, stop. I don't want to do this. So by all accounts, it seems to be two people that have been most affected by this were, by all accounts, bystanders in the event. And so this is a very sad situation. It's a very difficult situation because, listen, being a former law enforcement officer, I've been in dozens of pursuits, countless pursuits. I can tell you that I've been in pursuits in which we followed everything by the book. I've been in pursuits where rules were cut. I've been in pursuits where they should have been terminated long before they eventually stopped or came to an end. And I've been in pursuits where we actually terminated. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to be after the bad guy, and there's a difference between being after bad guy who has murdered 30 people and is, a terrible monster that, and he's got a person in that car that if you don't catch him, he's going to kill that person. That's one thing. But when you're pulling somebody over who has, that you only tried to stop for speed, or that you only tried to stop because he touched the yellow line, and then at that point you've decided I've got to get this guy at all costs, there has to be a little bit of a common sense that goes into that. Now, from absolutely everything that I have heard from people that I like and respect, to people that I do not like and respect, to people that I consider enemies, and people that I consider friends. People on all spectrums of this thing have said that Strzelecki is a good person. He's a good young man. He's a good law enforcement officer. Unfortunately, on April 18th, when he got into this pursuit, he got what a lot of law enforcement officers get on a lot of different scenarios. He got tunnel vision. And at some point, it should have been on his superiors to say, hey, son, back her down and come on home. Back her down, go on home. We got the plate. You know, everybody lives to fight another day, and we'll issue a warrant or something like that. And that was the call that didn't come. That call did not come. It didn't come from a supervisor. It didn't come from the sheriff. It didn't come from somebody else on his own level. It should have came from somebody. Somebody should have pulled that dude back. Now, part of the reason that that tunnel vision thing can happen to veteran officers who've had 10, 15, 20, 30 years on the job. It can happen to anybody. And that's why it needs to be someone else there that can step in and say, hey, you know, not today, you know. The other issue is there has to be a certain amount of self-restraint. And so I get it that he hadn't been to the academy. That's a problem. I get it that he hadn't, you know, that he had not been through ILEA's course on emergency vehicle operations. That's a problem. But the fact that he just didn't have the wherewithal to think, look, I've traveled that path that he's been on countless times. State Road 3 coming into Delaware County. If he would have been on 3, if they would have broke out into the county, no problem, no harm, no foul, rock and roll. Chase him till the wheels fall off. But as soon as you cross under the bypass coming into Delaware County and then Muncie, you've still got about a mile. But once you get up to the light there by Walmart, by 29th Street, once you take a left onto 29th Street or you go straight, you are now in city. You are in the city. You are there by a school. You are there by houses where kids are walking and people are out walking dogs and people are riding their bikes and people are backing their cars out of the garages. I mean, you are in very packed little like inner city area. And basically every other place that he was at until he went up in by Nebo, just north of Yorktown, he was in major city area. Then for just a short little bit, he was kind of out in no man's land again, and he was fine. But then the guy turned back towards the city on McGalliard and was rocking and rolling at 90 miles an hour through massive traffic on a very busy road. And the fact that nobody ever stopped Strzelecki is a problem. I hate saying that, this because, maybe he would be a good law enforcement officer and save lives, or who knows what this guy will do or could do or would do. At the end of the day, the driver of the white car is going to face punishment. He will face punishment. He's in jail waiting trial. He's got a trial coming up in February. He should be punished, and he will be punished. But there has to be some accountability on behalf of the Henry County Sheriff's Department. period. Sucks, but that's what happens. That's the only way you don't wind up in these spots again. There have been multiple Henry County pursuits that have absolutely been crazy wild and resulted in property damage and loss of life. This is not the first incident that's resulted in a serious issue. They have been involved with many different pursuits that, you would think it's the Wild West, and it's not. I mean, I know that Henry County is a rural county, but it's not as rural as they would have people believe the way they act in pursuits. I think that the sheriff's department has to face some kind of a punishment for this. Now, I've been asking the prosecutor in Delaware County about once a month since this happened. Hey, any word on this? Any word on this? Any word on this? And to his credit, he's told me, I am going to look at this, and I believe him. When this very first happened, Hoffman said, I will look at this, and if there are actions that resulted in criminal behavior from Strzelecki or anyone else's part, they will be charged. And I think that's that. Misinformed said, where is the accountability for the Muncie police chief or the Delaware County sheriffs? They have control of the roads in Delaware County. Yes and no. And here's the thing. I think they were doing that. I think they were in the process of doing that, because if you go back and you listen to the pursuit, and the best way to do this is if you go back and you listen to, give me 1 second here and I can tell you exactly what you need to listen to, because I compiled this and put this together. If you go back and you listen to episode 182 of my show, we listened to the entire police pursuit from the perspective of the Henry County Sheriff's Department and that deputy, and the Delaware County Sheriff's Department, and the state police, and the city of Muncie. So we listened to all of that radio traffic together in real time on episode 182. I'm going to put it right here in the comments. Maybe. And no, Delaware County did not join in. That's so let me put this in here and then I'll give you guys the recap. So what happened was Strzelecki was heading home. He had worked a 12-hour shift. He had worked a midnight shift, an afternoon into the morning shift, like a 6 to 6. He had called off and he had done some paperwork and he was heading home. He was 10:42, which is off of his shift, and he was driving home. Now, that means he was driving home in uniform and in his patrol vehicle, like all normal sheriff's deputies will do. He lives in Yorktown, and he was driving home north on 3 when he observed a vehicle touching the center line, which is, could be indicative of anything. It could be that someone's drunk. It could be that they're having a medical condition. It could be that they're tired. It could be that they're fumbling with the radio. It could be someone putting on makeup. It could be someone's eating. It could mean any number of things. Okay, it doesn't have to mean that someone is a criminal, and it doesn't have to mean that somebody is drunk. Now, you look at New Year's Day, and like after New Year's Eve, is it possible that a car at 6 o'clock in the morning could contain a drunk driver? Absolutely. I've pulled over drunks at 9 o'clock in the morning. I've pulled over a drunk at 10 a.m. At noon. Drunk people drink all the time. But most of your people you're pulling over at 6 o'clock in the morning is not going to be drunk, okay? So he thought that he was going to go up there, make contact with somebody, send them on their way, and, because how many times I pulled over a car for doing that same thing, and it turns into nothing. Someone's like, oh, I'm fumbling with the radio, and you're like, all right, get on down the road, be safe. They started running. I don't know. I think the guy was maybe wanted, or he didn't have a driver's license, I think is what ended up happening. So he started running, and Strzelecki called it in as a pursuit. Now, if he would have caught him anywhere, he would have stopped, or he would have given up, or something would have happened anywhere in that first, 3, 4, 5 miles, no harm, no foul. Everything would have been good. No problem. It was once he came it was really when he was at Macedonia and 29th Street, and Strzelecki said, we're going in excess of 70 miles an hour. He just ran a red light here in heavy traffic. Right then, he should have just been like, whoa, I'm done. At that point, they let Muncie and Delaware County know. So that was the first time that Muncie and Delaware County became aware. State police was aware. State police started heading that way. So obviously these are different dispatches, so they're not hooked together. So Henry County is now calling Muncie, calling Delaware County, which are in the same room, and they're letting them know. And both Muncie and Delaware County are being trying to get officers in the area. Well, it's just like any other thing. When they first call out, and when Strzelecki says, okay, we are at 12th Street, and we're at Macedonia and 12th Street. Well, then it takes a few seconds for Henry County to relay that information to Muncie and Delaware County. So then when Muncie and Delaware County puts that out on the radio, they're no longer at 12th and Macedonia. So the officers have to attempt to predict where they're going. So they start working up to different areas where they think they'll be. So it took a minute for them to get eyes on this pursuit. Once they got eyes on the pursuit, they were like, yeah, we don't want involved with this. I don't want to be involved with this. So all these officers, they were monitoring it, but they weren't doing anything. So now they're making the decision to notify their higher ups and being like, yeah, this thing's running in our county, but we're not getting involved. And I think Muncie actually put out on the radio to not get involved. Delaware County wouldn't specifically get involved because it wasn't in the unincorporated areas. It's in the city of Muncie. So Delaware County is going to let the city of Muncie handle it. Were there Delaware County sheriff's deputies that were monitoring it? I'm sure there were. Absolutely. I'm sure. I know that they were involved and around, but they at no time were in the pursuit. They were just also monitoring what was going on. I have never talked to anybody. Maybe I could try to reach out and find out. I doubt he would answer an email, but I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong in the situation. I think that if that pursuit would have went on for a minute or two longer, you probably would have. It's not their job to get in a pursuit and pursue a vehicle. So what do you mean? What's their job? Could Muncie have stopped it since it's in their jurisdiction? I mean, listen, Muncie could have said, hey, first of all, Muncie didn't have any way to communicate to that kid. So they couldn't have jumped on a radio and talked to that kid's car. Basically, what they could have done is they could have told the chief of police, could have said, dispatch, tell Henry County to cancel the pursuit. And then that agency would have had to have called back to Strzelecki and said, cancel the pursuit. I mean, there's no way. It's their job to stop the pursuit in their jurisdiction. I don't know that they have that. I think that that's yes and no. I mean, I think that's a little naive thinking. How are you? So how are you talking about them going about stopping it? Because again, what you're saying there is, I mean, did you want them to throw stop sticks out in front of both cars, or I mean, in what manner? He has the cell number to Sproles. Well, okay. So first and foremost, Sproles was not aware of this, because I was worried that he was. Okay. I was worried that Sproles was more involved with this than what we were led on to believe. I actually pulled the GPS from his car. In this instance, I'm going to say this does not fall on Sproles. I'm not a fan of Sproles. I'm not going to give Sproles any benefit of the doubt. But in this situation, Sproles was notified about this after the crash occurred. So when you're talking about a pursuit, which as we listen to it, lasts from the time it gets to Muncie to the time it crashes, I think we're talking about like 8 minutes. I think we're talking about like 8 minutes, maybe 9. That seems like a long time. But in the while the pursuit is ongoing, it's very quick. You've got shit happening, boom, bang, pow, like this. So it's not as easy to stop as what one wants you to believe. Listen, I'm saying it absolutely, they should have. Here's the bottom line. Blame falls on this with the Henry County Sheriff's Department. I don't I'm not going to specifically say that blame falls on Sproles, but the leadership that was on the road when Strzelecki got in this pursuit, the fact that they did not call this off when he entered Muncie and said that we ran a red light at 90 miles an hour in heavy traffic, the fact that they did not say stop, that's on them. That is on there. That's on them. And with everyone talking about jurisdiction. Okay, so everyone's kind of thinking about this like we're back in the, Boss Hogg days. Okay, it's not like that exactly. So first and foremost, any law enforcement officer that goes to training or derives their powers from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy has statewide jurisdiction. So a state trooper, a DNR, a Muncie City police officer, a Newcastle City police officer, a Daleville City a town police officer, an Albany police officer, Winchester, Marion, Evansville, they all have the exact same jurisdiction, the statewide jurisdiction. That being said, yeah, you try to keep it within your boundaries of where you are. No, DNR is not feds. DNR and state police are very similar. You mean the bunny police, the guys in the green and brown? They're just like state troopers. Was there supervision at dispatch? Well, there's dispatchers that are supervisors, but they're not police officers. And the police officers have no the police officers, the dispatchers are not the supervisors of the police officers. A dispatcher cannot tell an officer, stop doing this or stop doing that. It falls on the supervisors of the county. They might not have been anywhere around this, but they were listening to it. So they should have stopped this. And to my knowledge, there were 3 or 4 gold star, meaning sergeant or above, supervisors on the road at the time that this pursuit was happening. They should have called this. I think if a city officer saw a car screaming through town, whatever the reason, could try and stop it. I mean, yeah, you could try and stop it, but I don't think unless you're actually in that moment when if you're the city officer. Okay, so imagine, Tweety Bird, you're the officer and you're just sitting at Southside Middle School, and you see this car blowing by, and then all of a sudden 5 seconds later you see this Henry County Sheriff's deputy blow by with lights and sirens. Very first thing you're going to do is think like, what? You're going to get on the radio and you're going to ask dispatch, and you're going to pull out of the parking lot, and you're going to flip on your lights, and you're going to maybe follow behind for a minute and find out what's going on. And then when your supervisors say, hey, you guys sit back and monitor this. See, the best thing to do in that situation is not add more chaos to the situation, getting more people chasing. You want less lights and less sirens. If Strzelecki would have just turned his lights and sirens off and slowed down, the kid would have slowed down. Well, so when Misinformed says, what happens next time? Has any changes been made? No, because no punishment has occurred. No punishments came from this. That's why I'm saying that punishment has to come from this. You have to see a department get punished for this. It sucks, but you have to see Strzelecki take the punishment for this. He has to take the punishment. Actions have consequences, and his actions that day, whatever the intentions were, he has to take the ride. And I'll take a step further. I think his supervisors were negligent. I'm talking about the folks in Delaware County. Yeah, there's nobody in Delaware County that has no one in Delaware County is negligent from this. There are plenty of other issues with Delaware County and or the city police that I could argue all day long. They're wrong here, they're wrong there, they're wrong here. I don't believe that you can call fault in the city police or the sheriff's department from this specific incident. I think that's the biggest incident. I'll tell you, the number one thing in this, maybe next time you have a supervisor get on and immediately they need to contact Henry County Dispatch and be connected to a supervisor there to say, shut your guy down. Maybe they need to be told that. Maybe that needs to happen next time. But again, by the time they were aware of what was happening, because listen, a pursuit that coming into your area isn't always a crazy thing. Had this pursuit came into the area at 4 o'clock in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wouldn't have felt the same way about it, because the roads are going to be deserted. You could very easily do 70, 80, 90 miles an hour down stretches of McGalliard, and it wouldn't have been the same thing. So just because a pursuit comes into Muncie or Delaware County, say Strzelecki could have got him stopped at 12th Street and Macedonia, there would have been no problem with it. It would have been, everything would have been okay. If the guy would have hit a curb and blew his tire out, and he would have crashed into the old Ball Brothers plant right around there or whatever, he would have crashed over there by 5 points. There would have been no problem with that. Everything would have been okay. So I'm not outlawing. I mean, pursuits are dangerous, and they have to be monitored, and you have to be very careful. You don't want to kill people just because you're pursuing somebody for having a license plate light out. That's common sense. But at what point does the Delaware County Sheriff? I mean, at the same point that the Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Department and Lafayette needs to address it, or Fort Wayne and Allen County. I mean, listen. Somebody else asked. I think maybe Joan asked about. Why are we not on the same frequency? So the thing is, if for anyone that gets on and listens to scanners, I would tell you sometime get on and just type in Delaware County police scanner and get on and listen to the Muncie Delaware County traffic, and then go and listen to Chicago or New York. Sometimes when, like, I am very good at deciphering radio traffic. After you listen to it for a while, you can get through it, even when it sounds like it makes no sense and you can't hear, and it sounds like you've got three people talking on top of each other. It's pretty easy to decipher. But even I can't make out what the hell's going on in New York, because you've got people just, there's no stop. It's just bang, 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 bang. It's like, I can't even follow who's talking to who, what's going on. It's absolutely insane. So, I mean, you could get, I guess there could be some kind of radio system where you would have everybody from this area on. I just don't think that is beneficial. I don't think that that's a good thing. I mean, I think the fact that Muncie and Delaware County and the small towns can all monitor each other, that's a pretty good thing. The fact that everybody in Henry County can monitor everybody, that's a good thing. I mean, I think that there is pretty good communication between people. I don't think that this situation was a communication issue. I think it was a training and a accountability issue from supervisor to an underling. Well, the state police have communication that just goes for we're speaking of a deputy that resides in that county. What are you saying? What's that? Are you saying have better? Yeah, I mean, and honestly, you wouldn't set up spike strips in a city like that, because a lot of times you're going to get a car going out of control specifically because of the speed. That wouldn't have been a good thing. Listen, there's a lot wrong with this. There is a lot wrong with this, and I hope that we see punishment come from this. I hope that the driver's punished. And unfortunately, Strzelecki is going to have, in my opinion, Strzelecki has to take some accountability for this. I think Strelecki's supervision needs to take a hit on this, and I think that when that happens, you will then see changes occur. Because the one thing that I blame Sproles on, is the fact that after all of this, he just quickly was like, yep, everything's okay. He played it by the book. Everything was okay. You know, the reason that I can respect Eric on this, because I've asked multiple times, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? The state police, the city of Muncie and state police both ran investigative reports on this. And from my understanding, the prosecutor's office wanted to get both of the reports to see how they both matched up and if there was any kind of difference in those reports. Now, the minute that I'm able to access any of these reports, I will try to access them. I would say that they will be able to deny me that request because they will be investigative reports for quite some time. But the moment that they are not, I will do what I can to access these, and we'll go over them if we're able to do that. I think that would be interesting to see how they are similar and different. And I think that when we see this, the prosecutor's office very early on said that there very well could be criminal charges come to the pursuing deputy. So time will tell. I think he's saying around the first of the year, after the first of the year. So we've only got a few more days, and I'll keep you guys up to snuff on what's going on there. So stay tuned here for that. Hey, the last thing I want to talk about before we go is this crazy thing. I don't know if any of you have heard this or read about this or seen any of this about all of these crazy things that are happening in Richmond and Wayne County. We've talked about this just very lightly back some time ago. I just kind of mentioned it almost in passing, like it wasn't any major deal. Let me see here. I didn't say anything big about it. Offers explanation. Let me get this here. Okay, two. I want you guys to take a look at this. Something is going on in Richmond and Wayne County, man. I have no idea, and I need to. I'm going to start taking a look at what's going on because it's just funny to me. It's so crazy how it's not like I say all the time. It's not just here. It's not just Madison County. It's not just Randolph County. It's literally everywhere. And it's so bizarre. So I want you to look at this. I posted about this yesterday, and it's nuts. So this is from the local Kicks 96. This is their news wall. Read some of these posts. Shipman, who's the Wayne County prosecutor, Shipman offers explanation to girlfriend's January traffic stop. Wayne County prosecutor Mike Shipman offered an explanation Thursday to a traffic stop by Centerville police that occurred in January of 2024 involving his girlfriend, Shipman's girlfriend, the prosecutor's girlfriend. Last weekend, Richmond Common Council. All right, so now we're talking about the prosecutor's office. We're talking about the Centerville Police, which is like a small town department. Now we're talking about the Richmond City Council. That's like the Muncie City Council. All right, so last weekend, Richmond Common Council member Ann Taylor referenced that stop and claimed that Shipman's girlfriend violated implied consent as a part of an OWI investigation. Well, how would Ann Taylor know this? Ann Taylor, the city councilor in Richmond, is the wife of the Richmond City Police Chief. The Richmond City Police Chief is best friends with a Centerville police officer. Okay. Now, implied consent is that agreement that any of you that have a driver's license in the state of Indiana. Okay. Yeah, it's not just Indiana. That is true, Alva and Karen and everyone else. It's everywhere. So implied consent is that agreement that you sign. And if you ever get pulled over and you are suspected of OWI, it then causes a police officer to pull a card out of his pocket and read you the following thing. I have probable cause to believe that you have operated a vehicle while intoxicated, and I must now offer you the opportunity to submit to a chemical test and inform you that the refusal to submit to a chemical test will result in the suspension of your license for 1 year. If you have refused this in the past and your license have been suspended, a refusal at this point will result in the suspension of your license for 2 years. Will you now take the chemical test? And when you sign that implied consent at the BMV to get your license, and everybody always says, I didn't do that. If you have a driver's license in your pocket, you signed it. You might not have read it. You might not known what it was, but you signed it. And what that means is if an officer asks you to do implied consent, the only answer that you can give them is yes, because a refusal to do so will result in the suspension of your license for 1 year or 2 years if you've been suspended in the past for this. So that's what implied consent is. And generally, if you don't have like a dickhead cop, you get about 3 times. So like I would always say, I'm going to read you implied consent, and offer you the opportunity. If you were really cool and nice and you had been cool, I would kind of go along with you and explain what this was. But if you were absolutely an asshole to me, I would read it and you would say yes or no. If you said anything other than yes or no, I would read it to you again. And then that time I would say your only answer is yes or no. If you say anything other than yes or it's not question time, it's not time to call your mom, it's not time to call a lifeline, it's not time to pee. It is time to say yes or no. Yes, you will take the test, or no, you will not. And either one is fine with me. Okay. And then if you would say yes, I would then take you to the breathalyzer. If you said no, you would then be arrested, and we would take you and we would get a warrant and get a blood draw, and we would get it anyways. And then your license would be suspended anyways. So there is no win to this. If you sign implied consent, it's a done deal. Okay. Well, in this situation, for whatever reason, listen to what's happening. A Richmond Common Council person says, hey, Mike Shipman, the prosecutor's girlfriend. Are you interested in other city council meetings that go over her say? Yeah. So yeah, send it to me, Tweety Bird. Always. Absolutely. Okay, so reading down on this, so she says that she's aware that this is so weird. It's like a city council person, a city government person tattling on a county person's girlfriend. It's really weird. Taylor further alleges that Shipman used his influence as prosecutor to intervene and prevent his girlfriend's arrest. Earlier this week, Shipman volunteered the official documents detailing the stop to Kicks 96 and 101.7 The Point. That document does mention the words implied consent, but Shipman flatly denies Thursday that there was a violation of implied consent. Shipman said that implied consent and a license suspension are only applicable when the officer has probable cause to believe someone is impaired, and the officer, through his own discretion, determined there was no probable cause. Well, I wonder if that's because it happened to be the prosecutor's girlfriend. Okay, so now why would Ann Taylor, a Richmond city councilor, say this? Well, let's look at the other news blurb. Ann Taylor denies being picked up from traffic stop by her husband, the Richmond City Police Chief. And this had happened earlier. Richmond Common Council member Ann Taylor on Thursday flatly denied to Kix 96 that her husband, Richmond Police Chief Kyle Weatherly, came to the scene of an August traffic stop to pick her up. Multiple Richmond police officers are holding steady in their claim that Weatherly was called to the scene because Taylor was intoxicated. Taylor said Thursday that simply is not true and that body cam video will support her claim. Kix made a public record request for that video 18 days ago, and it has still not been released, despite Taylor's request for it to be made public. All right, let's go down here and look at this. Stand by 1 second, folks. I'll let you read this. Stand here, and I will... Give me 1 second here. Hold on. Sorry. I'm going to play some music, and we'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Sound like there was like I guess the wind has been really crazy. It sounded like there was an accident outside. I ran to check that out. I apologize. Okay, moving back to this. So now the prosecutor drafts a formal complaint involving RPD Cambridge city officers. More details have become available of what is a clear divide between some members of local law enforcement agencies and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Much of that divide stems from the placement of RPD's Assistant Chief Adam Blanton on the Brady List, which is a list of law enforcement agents that have compromised their credibility by making untrue statements. Blanton was placed on the list on October 10th, 2 weeks later. According to an audit, RPD Assistant Chief Brandon Crofta accessed information about a traffic stop involving prosecutor Mike Shipman's girlfriend that had occurred in January. 6 minutes after the assistant chief accessed the information from his work computer, Cambridge City Police Officer Dylan Pritchard accessed the same information. Neither RPD nor Cambridge was involved in the stop involving Shipman's girlfriend. A formal complaint to RPD Chief Kyle Weatherly, drafted by Shipman, describes Blanton, Crofta, and Pritchard as close friends. Another RPD officer, Jordan Browse, accessed information on the call 4 different times. including once the day after Blanton was placed on the Brady list. A formal complaint was filed by Shipman to Weatherly on November 12th, based largely on the fact that the information was accessed from their work computers while on duty, despite not being involved in the case. There is no word on the status of that complaint. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, something insane is going on. This is like middle high school, elementary bullshit. This is like even crazier than what really is going on in Muncie or Delaware County or Madison County. This is like trying to find out who's sleeping with who. It's like a situation where they all have, if you've noticed, all of the men involved have girlfriends. They've all been like divorced from their wives. They've all hit that point in their time where they've hit like there are these high status players and they've been through a divorce, and now they've got these younger girlfriends that are all also involved, and they're all running around tattling on each other. Meanwhile, you have members of the fire department, the fire chief that's going after members of the council that's going after the fire chief. I am right now in the process of talking to a couple folks with some inside information. If you or anyone you know has information pertaining to this, please, 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 please do not hesitate to reach out to me or have them reach out to me. It would be... Sorry, that's what happens when Kate's not here. See what happens? We just hit stuff that shouldn't be hitting. Please reach out to me. Get in contact with me. The phone number is there, 765-546-9796. You can find me at that email. You can also, I'm going to put up the other emails so you can also get me. You can also get me on at Kristopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook, which I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add to that as soon as we get off here. You can also find that here. Bilbrey's Facebook page, facebook.com/Bilbrey318, or you can get me at khbilbrey@gmail.com. I am interested in talking to any of the politicos in Richmond or Wayne County, Republicans, Democrats, anybody involved with this, any police officers, firemen, anyone with information involving this. I'm interested in what in the hell is really going on here. People tattling on each other for showing up at traffic stops. I'm just going to tell you, that's just kind of what happens. It's like professional courtesy. Should it happen? No, it does happen. It's not right. It is what it is. But that's not the main issue here. Something more scandalous is going on that's causing all of this shit to hit the fan. And I am wanting to know what that is. I'm wanting to access that and to find out. So please get in contact with me and let me know. Yeah, the Brady list for in this aspect is basically a list that prosecutors have in criminal cases where if you were Brady disqualified, basically what happens is if, for example, if you have a police officer who, say, steals from the evidence room, and they, let's just talk about that, the guy from Anderson that's in the process of getting fired for sending those text messages. Listen, he's a detective. He's worked hundreds of cases, thousands of cases maybe. Even if he resigns or retires tomorrow or is fired tomorrow, he's still going to be called to be a witness to a lot of these cases. Well, the prosecutor's office has an obligation to notify all of the defendants in which he appears on their cases that he is not an honest person, that he has a problem with dishonesty and issues surrounding that. They have to notify all of the defendants of that, and he's then placed on what's called the Brady list. And so that goes out to all defendants who he's ever been involved with their case, because, that could be cause for them to file appeal or whatever. So that's what that is. So, absolutely insane. Probably a love triangle. Absolutely. Yeah. I who knows what's going on there, but, we definitely want to find. I know, Tweety Bird. I used to use Richmond and Wayne County as the place that was like okay, because they were okay for quite some time. I had been involved with them back in like 2017 or 2018 over a little whoopsie over weirdness that was going on. But basically since then, they've been on the straight and narrow. And then bang, this happens. And now it's everything going on here. So I, of course, will keep up to date on this. I will keep up to date with what's going on with the deal with Sproles. I will keep up to date with the Delaware County Commissioners meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. You can find it right here on this channel. Remember that, right here on this channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. I, of course, have a lot of record requests out in both the county and the city, waiting for those to come in. I'm not expecting any of those things to come in until after the first of the year. So that's that. Just to let you guys know, we will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the live on location commissioners meeting. We will then be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. right here for the live show, episode 359, where we will be giving you a breakdown of what happens during the commissioners meeting. And then we will be here live New Year's Eve, and you can bring in the New Year's Eve, the new year, with me. We'll see if Kate will be here and all of our favorite people here. We'll see what happens right here live on Tuesday. We will not be here on Wednesday. We will be back Thursday. We will then be off Friday, Saturday, and we'll be back as a regular run Sunday through Thursday on Sunday the 5th. So you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful first day of the work week tomorrow. Tune in at 10 a.m. for the commissioners meeting. See what goes on here, and we will keep you guys up to date with what's happening. God bless each and every one of you. See you all tomorrow. And I think that's it. All right, take care. God bless. Have a good night. And goodbye.